This stock isn't moving on fundamentals, it's moving on pure psychology. Because if this pattern repeats, we could be looking at another explosive squeeze.
All right, so today, we're going to unpack the bull case for AMC stock. We're breaking down the arguments from a pretty popular analysis that claims a major squeeze pattern isn't just possible, it's already confirmed. So let's break down exactly how they get there.
Yeah, squeeze pattern confirmed. That's a pretty bold claim, right? So what we're going to do here is really dig into the arguments and the data points from the source material that lead to such a confident statement.
Okay, so here's the roadmap for how we're going to break this all down. First, we'll look at whether history might be repeating itself. Then, we'll get into this idea of a squeezed stock basket. After that, we'll tackle the whole debt question, the big bear argument. Then, we'll explore how price targets might be used as a tactic. And finally, we'll wrap up with what might be the biggest driver of all, retail FOMO.
All right, let's jump right in. The first piece of this puzzle really hinges on a fascinating historical comparison.
So the whole thing kicks off by looking at social media posts from AMC CEO Adam Aron. The source points to two specific times he used that famous phrase, "to the moon," once back in 2021 and then again more recently. And the argument is that these posts weren't just talk. They were catalysts that started a very specific, almost predictable pattern in the stock's price.
So check this out. The source literally overlays the two price charts. That purple line, that's the price action from 2021. The one that led to that insane run-up. And the blue line, well, that's what's happening now. The core argument is that these patterns aren't just similar, they're practically identical. So the big what if here is, if the pattern is the same, could the outcome be the same? That's the core idea, that a huge move might be just around the corner.
Okay, so this is where it gets even more interesting. The theory doesn't just stop with AMC. It actually broadens out to include a bunch of other stocks.
So the source introduces this concept called toxic swap ownership structures. It's a bit of a mouthful, but the basic idea is that stocks like AMC and GameStop aren't just moving on their own. The theory is they're all tangled up in this basket of heavily shorted stocks, all connected through these really complex financial instruments. Think of it like they're all tied together with invisible string.
Watch the full video on my channel. This is just the beginning.